It was during the reign of David I, the youngest son of Malcolm III and his wife Margaret, that Scotland became filled with abbeys, monasteries and churches. At Dunfermline, he built the first and grandest of them. That David I built the entire church cannot be ascertained for sure, but the existing nave does owe its construction to him. David's tribute to the memory of his parents resulted in Dunfermline Abbey, assumed to be based on Durham Cathedral. It has been described in the past as Durham in miniature. His original humble temple seems to have stood until the days of the reign of Alexander II, who in 1216–26 built the splendid Gothic choir and transepts, which were later destroyed during the Reformation and replaced by the present parish church in 1818. At the time of its construction, it was expected that over time the walls would collapse, or at least not withstand the passage of time, so huge purchases form the strongest feature of the exterior elevation. These were added about the close of the 16th century by William Shaw, the master mason to James VI. The north porch and tower were also constructed by Shaw. The spired tower was built in the baronial style, but sits happily within its Norman environment. It was no doubt Shaw who also saved King David's nave. The Great Western Doorway is the finest exterior portion of the building. The characteristic sculptures of the early Norman period suffered through weathering, but the crude faces, chevrons, rosettes and diapers are still traceable on parts of the 5 orders of arching. The supporting pillars still occupy their corner niche, their slight bases and heavy capitals remaining determinant in their original situations. Short purchases flank the doorway, a traceried window surmounted by a circular light and open arcading being other ornamental features of what could otherwise be described as a severe gable elevation. The effect of the towers on the western front are large, but dignified. The church is an adaptation of the cruciform Gothic style used by Presbyterians, but it lacks the grandeur of its predecessors and its venerable neighbour. The platform of the tower is surrounded by a balcony, with the words King Robert the Bruce forming its guard. At the extreme east of the church outside are the remains of the beautiful and ancient Lady Chapel, in which the remains of Queen Margaret lie. It's one of Scotland's most holy shrines. Its resemblance to the nave of Durham Cathedral is proportionately down to the minute details of the architecture that conforms exactly with its ancient model. Dunfermline is around 106 feet in length and 59 feet wide. The total length of the building, including the older and later parts, is almost 270 feet. The circular pillars measure 4.5 feet in diameter, and the diagonal furrowed ornamentation of several of them gives the illusion that their breadths increase from the base upwards. The square plants, circular bases, Christian capitals, clustered tiered piers, and wall respawns follow to the same styles. Even the simplicity of the aisle arcading, the triforium openings, at the clerestory is repeated in this miniature Durham. Few people are able to resist the fascination of climbing to the bartizan of the tower from where the view is magnificent. The bells and interior of the church butt are among the details revealed at different stages of the ascent over the dark and narrow stair. The octagonal spire rises to a height of 156 feet, with the tower battlements being around 50 feet lower. Its sister tower is much smaller in comparison, and there are clear traces of hasty or economic rebuilding after its destruction by lightning in 1807. The murals in the nave are interesting, with the beautiful memorial windows. Robert Pitcairn, Commendator of the Abbey and Secretary of State to Mary Queen of Scots, is represented by his arms and a gushing epitaph in Latin. George Judy, the last abbot, is also remembered, and there are many notable family names, including the Halketts of Pitferren. The saints and heroes of Scotland figure in the grand design by Sir Noel Paton in the Carnegie window over the Great Western Door. Queen Annabella Drummond is honoured in the window, and several of Dunfermline's worthies' names are also included. A Norman tablet commemorates the local men who fell in the Boer War. The ancient doorway was only discovered in the southeast wall during preparation for the military memorial. The new church is a large cruciform structure. It occupies the site of the pre-Reformation choir, and the front of the royal pew, dating from the time of James VI, has been preserved within the modern walls. The ornate pulpit is probably the most significant, as beneath it rests the body of Robert Bruce, although there is some speculation it's not him, which is covered by an ornately decorated brass covering. He is in fine company, for many Scottish royals are buried there, including his wife Elizabeth and his daughters. They include Malcolm III and his wife Queen Margaret, as well as their sons, Prince Edward and Prince Ethelred, King Edgar, Alexander I, David I, Duncan II, believed to be the son of Malcolm and his first wife, Malcolm IV, Alexander III, and the son of James VI, Prince Robert. Under the south transept are the remains of the Bruces of Elgin and Kincardine. William Shaw, the King's Master Mason, who was held in such high regard, is also buried at Dunfermline. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.